Hi guys, Rasmus here. Today is not a lesson video, instead we're taking a look at my new amp. So I just got this EVH 5150. It's the 50 watt version with the 6L6s. Now this amp is actually not new, so I brought it used, and the guy that I brought it from had had it for around 5 years. But from what I can tell, he hadn't used it that much, so the tubes doesn't sound that old. It's not really that sounding typically in here in the top, in the high end, when tubes are just dead. But still, that can sometimes be a great steal. But yeah, so I got this for a nice price, and I actually also got the matching 2x12 cabinet that you can see on the bottom here. And actually for the sound today, we are just going guitar directly into the amp and then into the 2x12, which is then mic'd up with a single SM57. And the amp is actually running through my 2-Hz captor, but I'm only using that as an attenuator just so I can crank the amp a bit more and push the tubes a bit more. Guitar is 7-string Jackson Dinky DK7M, because it has a maple fretboard with Seymour Duncan distortions. I have them fairly close to the strings, so the output is really high, so that way it doesn't need a tube screamer or anything really. So the only difference between this older version of the amp and the newer versions they make is that the green and the blue channels, so that's the clean and the crunch channel, they have separate gain and volume knobs, where on this those are the same knob just for different channels. It's not really an issue if you, like me, don't really use the clean channel that much. Then you just have a nice 2-channel amp that you can then also switch over to a clean channel. Even though the gain might be set a bit high or whatever, but then you can roll it off on the guitar. And primarily I will use this in a studio setting, so it's not really an issue. You can always just change the amp whenever you need, right? So to start with, let's run through the red channel, just to take things backward from what they usually are. So the red channel is the one with the most gain. So now I just have all the EQ settings at 12, and the gain is at 9 o'clock, and it sounds like this. Yeah, so this is just bone dry. I don't have an overdrive or anything in the front. This is just as the amp sound, straight out the box. No, that's not true, because it went out of the box 5 years ago. But this is how it sounds with everything at 12 at least. So let's just mess around a bit with the gain, see what we have. So this is the gain at 12 o'clock. So already there for me, just at 12 o'clock, it seems to have more than enough gain. But well, let's just try and dial it up. You know, red channel with gain and max or something, right? So this is 3 o'clock, and I can actually now hear a bit of hiss from the amp. So I guess just from the noise in the cable. So that is gain at 3 o'clock. Way too much for any practical application, I think. But you know, maybe so. This is really high output pickups. If you had like a Stratocaster, then maybe this setting would still be needed. So yeah, here's the gain at max just for. So yeah, while that's fun, let's dial it back. To a disappointing 9 o'clock, but I think this is really, especially in a recording situation, we want to keep the gain low. You know, probably for some more death metal applications, probably run the gain higher, but for me, with this guitar, these pickups, I don't really need to. So let's just have a quick mess around with the tone knobs. So more low. It's kind of a bit too much for the rhythm parts, but for the lead parts, it can kind of make it sound full and not thin. And here's kind of the opposite setting with the lows at 9 o'clock. It makes it sound a bit thin, but very mid-range focused. So maybe for some old school types of rock where you really want the bass to have a lot of low end to play around with, along with the kick drum, this could be a useful setting. So this is the scoop mids version. And now for boosted mids on a red channel, that's unusual. Again, probably great for more old school style of sounds, or just for lead sounds. Cut the highs. Just sounds like you've thrown a blanket over it. Though you could probably compensate by dialing up the presence and doing that whole presence versus treble kind of thing. I'm not really gonna go too much into depth with that here. So now I just try and crank the with all that treble, it's still a pretty usable sound. It probably cuts through a lot in a mix, I could imagine. But it's not that pleasant of a sound because it kind of rips your ears out. Yeah, and for reference, I'm running the volume at about 1, so it's through the capture, which I think kills around 20 dB. It's still fairly loud, but it's it's not loud enough to annoy the neighbors. I hope, at least. I'll find out in a bit if it is. So this is a very typical setting for the red channel. At least it's very typical when you run the 6505. It's the low and the highs on 6 and the middle at 4. And this is the other one, which is just 666 on the controls. So let's go to the blue channel. So called the blue channel has a bit less gain, and it has a bit more mid-range, or at least the mid-range contour is a bit different. So it sounds a bit more like a kind of high gain rock amp rather than sounding like a very modern metal tone, which the you could say the red channel is. And this is just my typical setting, so I think it's the middle at 5 and high and low on 6. And here I had the gain at around 1 or 2, which is where I find it works the best on this channel, at least for doing heavy stuff on the blue channel. You can of course have the gain a lot lower and get some very different sounds. So gain at around 9 o'clock. Now we're more in what would maybe call a low gain setting. So obviously more clarity, but you still have a sort of a crunch sound, right? Gain in the middle. It, yeah, well, it will chuck even just at those settings. But again, a lot less modern sounding. And here's just all the gain that the blue channel has to offer. And then last but not least, we have the green channel, which is the clean channel, which is actually a clean channel on this amp. On the PV, it's not really a clean channel. It's kind of a weird thing that it's not really a crunch, it's not really clean. But if, of course, if you put it in crunch, it's a crunch channel, right? But yeah. I have the gain at around 12 here. I'll try and split the front humbucker here. It might distort a little less. It's still distorting fair bit, so let's try and crank the gain down a bit. Sort of the wrong way to go, but you have to do what you have to do, right? Now we have a lot less volume, so that's why on the new version those are independent volume knobs, but now I just have to turn the volume up. So now the volume is at around 9 o'clock. And now we're back in full humbucker mode on the front pickup here. So this is just finger picking on the front pickup. In the middle section, in the middle setting, it would be like this. Here on the bridge pickup. So that was just a quick run through of all the channels on this amp. I'll do some more in-depth videos and I'll also do some comparison between my 5150 and my 655. And I also have the 5150 in the little launch box version, which sounds somewhat different. So we're gonna try and compare all those and you can hear the difference and choose which one you like. Personally, for now, I really like this, but of course it's also new, so it's kind of in a honeymoon phase. You always like your newest stuff the best, right? But let's see how long that lasts. Hopefully it lasts a long time, because I think it really sounds good. Yes, thanks for watching. Bye!